circumstances. I understand the owner oversees everything and he cuts the check. But I'm never, ever, never stepping out of line with my coach. I'm riding with him. I'm riding with him.
So I greatly appreciate all the insight you just provided our viewers. You nailed it this time. Jason Garrett did not stand beside and behind his head coach. In fact, I wasn't in the locker room, but I scoured for any quote from any player that would back Jason Garrett yesterday, and I found zero. Nobody stood beside or behind the embattled, under fire head coach. Not one player stepped up and said, we are going to rally around our coach to effectively save his job. That tells you all you need to know about what's going on with Jason Garrett. He has run his course with that football team. That football team has tuned him out. It does not care about him. There's no love lost there. They don't hate him and they don't love him. He's a zero to them. He is inconsequential. And Jason Witten, who will play politics when it's time to play politics, he knows where the bread is buttered. He knows where the bucks literally stop. He knows who controls the purse strings. That guy, Jerry Jones, does. So it didn't surprise me at all that Jason defended his owner ahead of his coach, because Jason's voice still carries some weight in that locker room.
Because it wasn't the coach's decision that Jason came back. That was Jerry Jones' decision.
Okay, well, it was probably Jason Witten's decision. I mean,
I'm just saying, it was like, it wasn't
somebody
like,
had to bless it.
Right.
Yeah. No, I agree. It came from the top. And was there a little bit of marquee value to it, a little bit of salesmanship going on? Because Jason still sells to Cowboy Nation, right? Sure, there was. But the point is, Jason Witten fears Jerry Jones. Jason Witten does not fear Jason Garrett. You with me?
Yeah.
Because the coach strikes no fear in the locker room in anybody's heart.
Because Jerry has stripped him of that ability to play fear.
I don't think he had it in him to start with, but whatever little that he did have, you're right, stripped. He is undercut, undermined by the owner from day one, but the locker room knew that. And I told you, I'm going to say it one more time, when they got so talented and played at such a high level in 2014, Jason got to go along for a great ride. Coach Clapp. When Dak fell out of heaven into their laps in 2016, Jason got to go along for a great ride. But all of a sudden, when they need somebody to strike some fear, to make one move that reunites and ignites the locker room, he's incapable of doing it. And they all told you yesterday in silence by showing you that they're not going to defend him. They don't care. He's irrelevant to them.
But let me ask you a question, Skip. Do you actually think Jerry would have done this to Bill Parcells or Jerry Jones? Would he have said what he said about Jason?
To Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson and Bill Parcells. Would he have ever uttered those words that he uttered after the game?
The critical words, right? No, he would not have.
You know why? That's why he hired Jason Garrett. This is why he hired Barry Switzer, Chan Gailey, Dave Campo, Wade Phillips, and Jason Garrett, because they will not stand up to him.
Yeah, I think Barry Switzer would, but they were so close because Barry coached at Arkansas when Jerry played at Arkansas. So there's a deep bond and respect between the two of them. But you're right. You're right on all the other ones. I'm with you on that. And by the way, we have a new quote from Jerry Jones to your point that we should, I'm going to read it right now if we could show it. This is recent from Jerry Jones. No one has earned the right to say, I'm a Jason Garrett man more than me. I don't have to win the Super Bowl in business every year. I can come in sixth and have a hell of a year. But in this business, you got to come in first. I want Jason to get it done. Okay, so what he's saying is, I still love him like a son. I'm rooting for, no one's rooting for Jason more than Jerry Jones is. But he has turned a corner to where he's finally put him on public notice. He's gotten angry with him to the point that when Jerry loses his temper, he can lose all control and just boom. So what did we see? I'm going to remind everybody. He got mad at Jimmy Johnson repeatedly, but the final straw was at the owners' meeting after they won their second Super Bowl together in 1993. So it was in, I believe, February, maybe March, maybe early March. It was in Tampa, Florida. And they were at the hotel. They went to a restaurant near the hotel. I think it was maybe in Disneyland, I'm sorry, Disney World there, but they were at this little restaurant and Jerry just happened to walk in and the coaches were there and Jimmy was at the head of the table and they were all drinking whatever they're drinking and Jerry walked up and stood by the table and proposed a toast to the Cowboys. And everybody, of course, clinked glasses except for Jimmy at the end of the table and he wouldn't even lift his glass. Okay,
So he wasn't even invited.
Thank you. That is correct. That was the final straw. And effectively, what Jerry saw on the field Sunday night was close to a final straw with Jason Garrett in a different way because the team knows the owner has a bad temper, an ugly temper, that if he ever loses it, he strikes fear. Like Jason Witten is afraid of Jerry Jones. He's afraid of the temper.
But here's the thing.
Because they know he fired Jimmy Johnson after 2 Super Bowls.
In order for him to stand up to Jimmy, he had to fire him.
He did.
But he belittles Jason Garrett at every chance he gets.
I mean, not openly, but sort of between the lines.
He never said nothing. Skip. Jimmy had been blatantly disrespectful for Jerry for years.
For years. Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. And Jerry never said, they lost the game, he never said anything. But the moment Jason Garrett loses a game or doesn't go for it on 4th down or a play gets blocked, he calls him out.
That's true.
Do you actually think if you actually think Jason Garrett would have backed this owner over Jimmy Johnson? Because Jimmy would have got his ass up out of there. You know why Jason doesn't fear Jason Garrett? Because he knows he got that guy in his corner. And ever since Jimmy left, and ever since they got rid of Parcells, players have had a pipeline. They can weave their way, go right up and talk to Jerry above their head coach.
You can make that case. It's why I've always wished that Jerry's wish could come true. I could coach the you-know-what out of this team. There are times I wish, you know what? I wish you could be the head coach because they would fear you. Of course, the buck stops with you, and he's been the general manager from day one.
Yes.
So don't call him the owner. He's really operating as
he's been the owner, the general manager, the VP. He's been everything.
He's everything.
Yes.
He controls his opening press conference when he took over in 1989 was, I want to know everything about this franchise down to the socks and jocks.
That's what he said.
Socks and jocks. Yes. So he knows all, and he wants to control all, except he's not the head coach. No. So in the end, I wish he could be the head coach. It'll never happen, but again,
because he wants all the credit when they win and none of the responsibility when they lose. Because if he's the head coach, now who you gonna blame? All the talent that you've accumulated.
If he really thought he could get away with it, I think he would coach the team. Not at this age, but if maybe 10, 15 years ago, he would have coached.
Yeah, maybe early on. Yeah,
maybe. But now I don't know. But he still seems to have high energy. I would love to see him give it a try.
That would take a lot out of the guy. Jeez, he takes it on as enough as it is.
Coach.
I know, but seriously, he's got the makeup to inspire a football team. Because listen, you want to talk about a super salesman? If you sit with Jerry Jones for like 5 minutes, you're ready to run through the wall.
He got personality like no other owner you ever been around.
It works.
He's infectious.
It cuts through. It breaks through.
Jerry starts to talk, and you believe everything he's saying.
Yep.
And you know it's a lie, but he's so convincing.
That is true.
Oh, man, he's great. This is why all the players that's ever played for him speak so glowingly about him. But that's the aspect that if you work for him and you're the head coach, the part that you despise. Because he takes nothing into account that there has to, like, oh, come on now. You can't say certain things publicly.
Trust me on this. I have seen Jerry Jones lose his temper. It is scary. It's why he's a good commanding officer of the whole franchise, because everybody who works under Jerry, they're afraid of him. Nobody's afraid of Jason. He doesn't lose his, at least I've never seen him lose his temper. I'm sure he has, but I don't think anybody fears him losing his temper.
What are you going to do? He loses his temper and do what? Cut me? Hey, Jerry, guess what? Jason Garrett said he cut. Fine, going back down to meeting.
He could call you out publicly, but he's not built like that.
It's interesting.
How you going to call the man out publicly? You got to clear that with Jerry. Jerry, do you mind if I call this guy publicly? No, don't do that. And now then where are you? Because you know he has to run everything by Jerry.
It's interesting dynamic that both of you guys have spent so much time. I know you've spent so much time with him. You have the dynamic of the Hall of Fame, and it is interesting that both of you know so much about him because I think that his words are beginning to be more and more telling with his frustration. So we'll see if they get it done tomorrow. We'll have more on that game. But first, what in the world is going on with Brady and Belichick this week? Things are weird, and we're going to try to make sense of it next.